Hi guys, it's me, Carrie Silver Lining Mena again on Carry On. And this episode is going to be another challenge to get through. I'm not so scared of ruffling feathers this time, but it's going to be an emotional episode. And like I always say, it's going to be a long one. Although this time I think it really is going to be a long one. And it's going to be tangly. It spans decades back from when I was like 10 years old all the way into the future, things that haven't happened yet. So let me jump right in. I know that when I do these videos, it's how I heal and I move on from stuff. For example, if you are my Facebook friend, you may have noticed that I quit whining and bitching about the narcissist Trump. It's like I'm over it. I mean, every once in a while I'll do a little something, but it's not like my theme right now. I'm done with that. So let me start on my current theme. And again, this is a tangly story. And I know I always say that my videos are going to be long and then they're not nearly as long as I think they're going to be, but this one may be long. So kudos and gratitude to those that stick through them all. But if if you guys don't watch them all, this is really for me. Because as I said, once I press publish, I get to move on. I really want to get through this one because I really don't know. I don't have a clue on how to heal from this. And it's really gut-wrenching and painful for me. So let's start when I was 10 years old. My mom, that's when she had my brother. And his father is not my dad. He wasn't interested. And so basically, I was his second mama. You don't have to give birth to your babies. And so I helped grow this little boy, and he was my little buddy. He was my little baby. I fed him, I changed him, I dressed him, I played with him, I read stories to him, I rocked him to sleep. I even slept in the bedroom with him because we lived in a really hot Southern California community, and it was back in the 70s. Not all houses had air conditioning, and we were plagued with mosquitoes. So we both slept in the same room, even though I had my own room because he had the better fan and he had the bug light. And so I really bonded with this little boy, my brother Greg. And we had to move around because my mom, she had hardships, whatever. I'm not going to get into all that. I don't really care. But by the time I was 15, I had just had enough of my mom, and I decided that for survival, I had to move out, and I came to live with my dad. And it was gut-wrenching to me because I had to leave my little baby behind, my brother Greg. And it was so painful for me, and I did all I could to stay in communication with him. I'd call him as often as I could, but this was back in the days where it was like 25 cents a minute to call. Eventually that dropped to 10 cents a minute after 6 p.m. or whatever. And I'd send him money. I didn't have much, but I'd send him like a $5 check to cash in and rent a video game, whatever. And I'd drive up as often as I could to see him. I'd have him come stay with me. And I did what I could to maintain a relationship. And I used to actually like fantasize that my mom would die, not because I'd wish her dead, but it would be like the only way in which, it would make sense that my brother would come to live with me because, as I said, he wasn't my dad's kid. So, I didn't even, it just wasn't an option for him to come and live with me. It wasn't an option. Oh, hang on. I got to put you on pause. Just for a sec, I got an important message I got to address. Hang on. Okay, I forgot where I was at exactly, but that's okay. Okay, so anyway, it wasn't feasible for my brother to come and live with me. So let's like fast forward. Just put that in the back of our minds because that's what I did a little bit. My brother grew up, and by the time he was 15, he just, he became a rebellious teenager. He got stuck living with my mom. He didn't get to escape and go live with his dad because his dad wanted nothing to do with my mom and, whatever, ties a kid would mean, you know, what I'm saying. So he just completely ditched her and my brother. He never got to meet his dad. I spent many hours searching the internet looking for him through classmates.com, then, face or MySpace, then Facebook and all that stuff, and it just never came to fruition. So so I figured out that, God, this story's so tangly. I feel like I almost have to start over again. Okay, so let's just stop that story for now and let me jump forward to like the past several months. I've moved out of my family home and I'm living here in one of our rentals with this roommate who's, he's fine. He pretty much keeps his distance from me. We had to, set some boundaries, and that was okay. He's been gone for 2 weeks and I've been needing it because I've been doing a lot of crying and soul searching. So it's nice to have the place to myself so I don't have to stifle my yelps. Oh, look, I got bangs. Oh, and look how cute my fingernails are. I got little kitty cats. Okay, so the thing that's been causing me so much grief lately, and I really don't know how to process that. I didn't know why at first, why it was so painful for me, but I put the clues together. But moving away from my dog my Soba has been so incredibly painful for me. And I asked Eric, I go, what does Soba want? And Eric's like, she wants you. You're her person. So I would have her come and live with me here. Go back and forth. And it was really nice for her to be here. I loved it. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, let's look at me. I don't even know what to say about it. I'm like, I don't know. Just something was just still not sitting right. And as time went on, clues started falling in about something else entirely. And I realized, what was going on and how it related to my brother. And about a story that didn't really happen, but was supposed to happen. I know I'm being so cryptic. So, again, let's put that story on pause for a sec. I started to, my friend Tracy, her dog that she was so bonded to, her dog died. And I would sit here and complain about missing my dog. And I bet she was thinking, I mean, I don't know, I'm speculating. It doesn't matter if she thought this or not. But she probably, or she could potentially think, if you miss your fucking dog, then go see your fucking dog. Because your dog's down the fucking street. She can't see her fucking dog because her dog died. And so I was like, what is going on with me, missing my dog when my dog is down the street? So I know something was going on with my dog. I haven't put it together yet. So let me put all this dog story to the side. Like I said, there's all these stories that are stuck together and weaving in and out of each other. So just know that my brother and my dog, there's 2 stories right there that are stuck together. And let me start with another story, and that is about Michael and the story that really wasn't. So do you remember so long ago? If not, I'm gonna repeat it, and I'm sorry if it's not clear, and I'm really sorry if it's confusing. If you don't know this story, it's going to be confusing. If you do know it, this will be a refresher course. But remember how with Michael that I couldn't get my shit together, and I couldn't learn. I wasn't learning. So they brought in another twin. They brought in like a surrogate twin, and I never named him. I called him Fairy Boy because we are like extensions of each other or something. I don't know. I didn't understand it. So I called him Fairy Boy, and he went along with it. I loved it. And I repeated my same experience with Michael, and that was such a profound experience. I learned things that I didn't even sign up for through that experience. And mostly it was that because it was such an identical experience, I learned that I was not a victim to anybody, that I actually me and, fairy girl, higher self me, wrote this script. I wrote my script because they didn't know, they didn't conspire against me or together and say, hey, let's pull the same shenanigans on this poor girl. And then later on, based on the Trump story with Larry, that was the same experience that I was replaying with these two men, was that traumatization that I experienced through Larry. Shh, don't tell anyone. So as I'm repeating this experience with Fairy Boy, Michael truly was ready to go to the next phase. And so he found a surrogate me. And he played out what was supposed to happen with he and I. And when I learned that, I was so devastated that I had lost out on what I had been working so hard on. And what I was left with was a feeling of intense regret. And I remember thinking that of all the things in my life that I may have regretted, like as a mother or a wife or a daughter or just as a human being in general, I could forgive myself for everything because we are human and we do make mistakes. But I couldn't forgive myself that I regretted so much missing out on that. I regretted not being able to be with my twin, with my Michael. I missed it. I regretted it. I regretted it. I regretted it. But what are you going to do? I had to move on with life, and I did. And so, I've rehearsed this story, or not really rehearsed the story, but thought about it so many times. So I think I might be getting like the details like out of order a little bit. So I'm sorry about that. But again, this is just for me. So if I confuse you, whatever, I'm getting it out of my system. So now, Michael's experience, I don't know about the whole experience because we talked so briefly about it. But he did tell me that it was beautiful. Parts of it was beautiful because I still thought that I was going to get a boyfriend. I didn't all the way realize that she was me, that she was supposed to be me, because while Fairy Boy was like almost an exact replica of Michael, she was not an exact replica of me. She wasn't so much older. She didn't live super far away. She wasn't, married with 3 kids. She wasn't entangled like I was. So she felt like, she was available and all this other stuff. So that threw me off a little bit. But, after, recently I figured out that she was really me. And so I'm like viewing this circumstance as if it really happened between me and him, even though it didn't. I'm glad it didn't now because we didn't have to break each other's hearts in that experience. And again, I don't know everything about what happened with them, but based on something that he said to me, I didn't even ask. He volunteered some information that made me, in hindsight, believe that whatever happened between them, it left him feeling betrayed by her, and it had something to do with kids. So my gears are turning in these last couple months, and I think that if he and I had connected, if I had got my shit together and did not have a need for a repeat with Fairy Boy, that, because I'd always say, remember I just said that I thought I was going to have another boyfriend. Like he had a girlfriend. I thought I was going to have a boyfriend. And I knew that this boyfriend was going to be a temporary relationship. And then I'm like, I can't imagine why I would let this guy go, because I was told he was going to be so perfect for me. And the only thing I could come up with was that he was young and he didn't have any kids. And if he wanted to have kids, then I'll go have kids, because it's, I've done my time. I don't want to have kids, and I'm not going to hold him back from that. So I would like encourage him to go have kids. This is what I'm thinking in my brain why I would break up with this guy. And so maybe something like that happened with him and this girl. I don't know. But 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 what I believe would have happened is that I would have told Michael that I can't stay with you as much as I want to because I have to go back and protect my kids from my narcissistic, abusive husband. And I don't think I would have realized at the time. I know I wouldn't have, because I didn't realize it until right now, or, within these past couple months, that this was so ingrained in me. Because what happened when I left my other baby, my brother, with the narcissistic, abusive asshole, turned my brother into a drug addict, into somebody that was in and out of dysfunctional relationships. He was like, he worked all the time, but never at one job. He was, a dedicated hard worker, but he's had job after job after job. He never had a stable home. He had a really shitty, rough life. A lot of fighting with my mom. No fucking dad. And then eventually he died. And so on some level, I had to give up the love of my life, the love of my soul, to go back and save my babies. Because on some level, I know what happens to the babies if you leave them to save yourself. You sacrifice them, and they become damaged. So, when I realized that, I stopped regretting that I had to leave Michael, even though I didn't really leave Michael. But if I had, I just really is like, gosh, I do have strong mama energy, which is what Eric said to me all along. I always thought it was because I needed to have the strong mama energy so that when I absorbed into beautiful Mistress, she would recognize her babies with Avery because they're the same babies that I have now. Star Fairy shares a higher self with Layla. And our other kids are going to share higher selves with my kids. So that's what I thought the strong mother energy was for. It probably is, but it's also because I needed to protect my babies so that they wouldn't become dysfunctional drug addicts and die. And so I'm so grateful for that part of me, because I love my kids so much. And see, that's where I'm at right now. And that's why I have this feeling with my dog, because remember at the beginning I said that you don't have to give birth to your babies in order for them to be your babies. She is so much my baby. And remember, I had a miscarriage. I don't know if you remember this, but I had a miscarriage because I was supposed to have 2 babies. But I needed to have like one kid that wasn't fucked up or something, because I needed to know that I wasn't a complete fuck up as a mom. I don't know. Or maybe just we needed that grounding force of Ryan and our family dynamic. Something. But either way, that baby that I miscarried, I must know her from somewhere else. But anyway, she's got some sprinkles of her soul in Soba, so she is my human baby too. So she is my baby. And so now I'm faced again with abandoning my child. And I need to put that story on pause for a second, because I have to go back and start another story, another tangle. And I don't know how many people that watch this pay attention to my Facebook wall. I don't know. I mean, I have 600 subscribers and about 200 of you watch the video. but only a handful of you actually watch the whole thing. And I don't know if the handful of you are the ones that see me online. I don't know. But anyway, I just recently did this big, beautiful post about how my husband and I went to the beach to get him a car. We had to go pick it up far away. We flew there, and I was really scared because I was going to tell him this story. The story, yet another story that belongs here too. So let me tell you that story. I'll tell you the story that I wanted to tell my husband on the beach. This was the one that I thought I was going to burn a bridge. And instead of burning a bridge, he fucking loved me so much and threw so much fucking support at me. I was blown away. I was blown away. And you will be too when you hear this. It was beautiful and it was magical. It was fucking whoa, whoa. So, like back in May, I guess, I told you, remember the other videos that I've been like all of a sudden like turned on to like these astrology tarot card readings on YouTube? And I thought I always think I'm really special, but now I learned that I'm like the same as all of the other Aries in the universe. Anyway, I've been following along these and they've been dropping clues. Not only that, I've been getting fucking downloads. I said my intuition is on fire and it's not lying. Well, I hope it's not lying because what it tells me is that, remember the story of Avery and beautiful Mistress, about how beautiful Mistress, she does the same thing I did when Mariana from the brothel dropped into me and I lost my shit and I integrated, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, the same thing's going to happen to her. She's going to integrate me and all my feelings and all my memories, and she's going to realize that she has another family. And she's going to traverse galaxies in order to find Avery and her babies. And then, it's going to take a while for her to acclimate to them, but they're going to have the best life ever. Well, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing that thing. Except I'm going to traverse, not galaxies, but the ocean. And I believe it's like, 3D human me says, I think this is going to happen. I could be wrong. I don't know. This is why I'm nervous to share this. This is the part that makes me afraid because I don't want to be wrong and feel stupid. But the part of me that has the knowing knows. I mean, I was told this story for a reason. I'm having these downloads for a reason. So I think that now that I've integrated Mariana, that I'm going to traverse oceans and go to Michael. And then I finally get to, I thought, choose myself and go be with the love of my soul. And keep in mind, remember, I don't know if you remember this, but I know I shared the story of my dream that I had of Michael's baby. And remember he was like, Michael's like, here, watch my baby for a minute. I'll be right back. But he didn't come right back. And so I had to take the baby with me and into the van. And I was with some people and they wanted to go to the festival or whatever it was. And I didn't have like a car seat. And then so I got the diaper bag. We're driving. I got the baby in my lap and I'm digging in the diaper bag and there's no bottle. There's like one diaper, no wipes. I was like, what the fuck, Michael? What kind of supplies are these? So anyway, I convinced everybody that we had to go back because I had to take care of this baby and I couldn't. Anyway, I gave the baby back to Michael and I asked Eric about the dream. And Eric said, well, that was like symbolic of you passing this, it was your baby. Now you're passing the baby on. It's not your turn this time. And, but it used to be your baby. And so now I feel like just like beautiful Mistress is going to recognize her babies, I'm going to recognize this baby. And not that I'm going to raise his baby. This baby already has a mama, but it certainly won't hurt if I have a familiarity with his kid if I'm going to be in this kid's life. And I don't feel this way about the sibling at all. But after my own experience of being separated from my own half sibling, in my brain, they are a unit. You don't separate the siblings. You do not separate the siblings. They are a unit. So it doesn't matter. You love one, you love them both. Anyway, so imagine how grateful I was when I'm telling my husband this fucking story. Baby, I'm pretty sure that not only am I going to find a boyfriend, but I think it's going to be Michael, and I think I'm going to move across the ocean and live with him forever. And I told him how scared I was to tell him, and he just supported me, and we hugged and we cried, and he goes, my love for you goes so much deeper. We are solid. He goes, of course I don't want to lose you, but I love you, and I know you need to go, and you know you need to spread your wings, and I see the bigger picture, all this stuff. And I also, I had one of my downloads was that I heard distinctly, grandma's room, like, he's gonna keep a room, my Healy room, made just for me, so that when my kids have kids, there'll always be like a space for me to come home to. And then later in reviewing my videos, my readings from before, like Future Me, when Heather channeled Future Me, she said that I will always have a space and I'll come back for family celebrations and stuff. So it all made sense that, everything is going to be okay one day. And I was like, riding cloud nine. I was so happy that everything was so beautiful. And that's where that big, beautiful post came from. And just like how I found a brand new way to love this man. And that I thought that I was going to burn a bridge. However, it became reinforced with a strength I never knew possible. However, it didn't take but a whole week for that bridge to incinerate. Sort of. I still think that all of that stuff will be true. It is. But we had an opportunity, Lovey and I, to have a really bad experience. And it was on the 4th of July, because it was Independence Day. And we were going to hang out with the kids. We were going to get Sam's Club snack bar. It's so bad for you, but it's so fucking good. I was going to get the sushi and the pizza and the works. But Bug got grounded for charging Chick-fil-A on Dad's credit card without permission for her and her friends. And Josh, he just doesn't give a shit. He just wants to stay in his cave, and that's fine. And Ryan wanted to hang out with his girlfriend, so we were kind of free, so we went to the happy hour. And I guess, a couple drinks in him made him, his hurt come out, and he went right back to his old narcissistic, gaslighting, bullying ways. And I went right back to my fight or flight ways. And I did like this much fight, and I just like the flight took over, and I grabbed my bag and I ran out of the restaurant and I walked home 3 miles in humidity on dangerous roads. It's Texas. It's not meant for pedestrians. It's too fucking hot here. So I really, it was unsafe, and I didn't, I felt protected. I knew I was okay. I knew the guides had my back, but still, I was just devastated after having that beautiful, beautiful weekend and all of the beautiful words and hugs and acceptance and support, just to turn around and go right back to the old ways. And I couldn't understand it. Why is this happening? Why does it have to end on shit? And then, we have this vacation coming up next week. We're going to Austin, and I pushed for this trip We could have gone anywhere. And, we had like a freebie that we earned for doing a stupid timeshare tour thingy. But because his body's been so messed up, I didn't want him to have to fly and walk through the airports when I booked it. So I booked it for something that we could drive to. Besides, then we can be sneaky and he could call in sick and not have to, because you can't call in sick and then fly. So it was kind of local. We were going to go to Austin. And I didn't want to go. I'm like, I'm not going to go with this motherfucker. And I really wasn't sure what to do because I'm really good with vacations. I can I know how to just bust out my phone and find shit to do, all that stuff. But he's not as good as I am. So I was tempted to let him take the kids and me not go. And also because of the way I booked it, it's non-refundable or we'd have to pay more money to rebook. And I was just over it. So it was like, use it or lose it. And anyway, we finally talked a little bit and he was so remorseful and he knew he fucked up. And I wanted to have this trip, like I said, I booked it a while ago. I knew that I was going to be leaving and I wanted to create core memories for us. I knew this was the last trip ever. And so here I am faced just a couple days ago with, what the fuck do I do now? It's the last trip. Why would the guides throw this at me? Why turn it so ugly? Why couldn't we just have parted on good terms? Why couldn't I have these core memories created? Why? And I was so distraught and so hurt. My sleep got fucked up. I meant to do this video a couple days ago, but I was getting 4 hours of sleep again, which is the MO I figured out. They don't let me sleep if I'm going to do my video too soon. So now I'm realizing that I'm not just choosing myself when I leave this I feel like I thought I'd already left the relationship, but I guess not. I mean, I thought I was growing a friendship, but I guess I'm just peeling back. We're just breaking up, peeling that Band-Aid off slowly. I don't really know. I thought differently. I don't know. Anyway, now I'm faced with, what do I do? He's saying and doing all the right things. I'm so sorry. I know I fucked up. It's my trauma, and I'm going to do everything I can to make it up to you. And when I said to him, I don't even want to go. I don't want to go on this trip anymore. Everything inside of me is screaming no. And what he said the right thing. He said, I'll stay home. You guys go. And that broke my heart too, because he's right. He did the right thing by saying that. He didn't try to be an asshole and try to convince me that he should go, all this stuff, because he's growing too. But what I figured out was this is my last opportunity not to go and have one more time and create core memories. But this was my last opportunity to not give him one more chance. Because that's what I do. I give him too many chances. All the time. And that's the narcissistic, pattern of abuse. I'm so sorry. I'll never do it again. I promise to change. And when you hear these stories, you always, you're told, or the reels on the internet, they make it act like the guy's lying. Like he's just manipulating you, intentionally. But no, he really means it. He means it with everything inside of him. But he's too broken still. He wants to mean it, but he can't. And I have to face that. I can't even tell myself, because I've already made the decision to leave him. I've already made the decision. Well, I can't count on Michael. I can't count on that thing being real. Maybe it's real. It probably is real. But whether or not that's real, I can't stay where I'm at. So I still have to do my human work. And I have to make the decision, no more chances. I have to choose me. I have to choose survival. So I'm faced with leaving my baby behind again in order to survive. And it's devastating me. But this time, I don't have to leave her with the narcissistic asshole because, as I've said before, there is a lot of growth. She's with my kids too. My kids they're all grown enough, the twins are 17 and a half. Josh just turns 21 in a few days, next week, something. And Lovey, he's got enough growth under his belt to where he might still be an asshole, but he sees it, there's accountability. It's not continued gaslighting. Besides, how's he gonna, abuse the dog? Which actually he sort of did, because Layla follows in my footsteps, and so now she's having to do the same fucking thing. I see the dynamic. She's a real fussy eater. The dog, not Bug. She eats everything. But the dog's a fussy eater. So we're constantly trying to spoil her some way. Put a little shredded cheese in, or, the tuna juice or something. Well, one day we didn't have enough tuna juice or chicken can juice, and so he put a little salt in it, and Bug flipped out. Don't give the dog salt! So in her mind, he's like not taking care of the dog, and so now she's going to be faced with leaving the dog behind with the person that doesn't take care of her baby. But he already said, I'll never do that again. So, he met her needs. But anyway, I'm not leaving my baby behind with somebody that's going to turn her into a drug addict who's going to be involved with dysfunctional relationships and eventually die prematurely. I'm leaving her behind in a house that's full of love for her. But I still don't know how to heal from it. And every time I go over there, I cry. And every time I leave her, it's devastating to me, like I'm abandoning her. The pain that I suffer from even thinking about her. I get why a narcissist would choose to avoid shit. I'm not thinking about that. It's too painful. I get it. Because like one time we were hanging out, he and I, and he's like, oh, remember when Soba this? Remember when Soba that? And usually, we'd laugh about it. But I'm like, I can't even think about her. Because these sweet memories cause me nothing but intense pain. And I know it's all tied back to my brother. And remember a long time ago, like when my brother died, and I was like, I'm not even crying. I don't understand it. And part of it is because I'm like, when people have like painful lives, I know they don't really die. I know they're like free of this shitty life and they get to go back home. So, and I'll see them again one day. I'm not missing his physical presence because, to be honest, I don't really like the person he became. He just, sometimes I did, like when I'd go see him at work, he worked at this restaurant not too far away, and he was in charge of, like, during crawfish season, he would cook the crawfish, and he'd give me all these free crawfish, and they were so spicy. One time I watched this man's shirt. He dropped a crawfish on his shirt in the seasons, burnt a damn hole in his shirt. So when he was sober, he was very pleasant to be around, but he was only sober while he was working, and so I usually didn't see him at work, so he usually wasn't sober, and he was just a bullshitter, and it irritated me. I don't like bullshitters. He wasn't mean or anything. He's just, like, bullshitty. And I feel like he was trying to impress me, and that makes me feel a little bit sad because it's like he just wanted me to love him. And I do, but I didn't like who he was. I don't know, who likes drunk people when you're sober? I wasn't a drinker. Every once in a while, but not like he was. So, anyway, I'm going through all this stuff. So I'm feeling like so sad again to part on such bad ways with, and maybe it will be bad. Maybe it will be okay again to leave him. But it's just really sad. I've been together with him for 34 years this September. And we have so much history together. It's hard for me to remember the good times right now. But I know they're there. And I know he's hurting and I know he's trying. But he's only just started his journey. I've got I've got a whole decade in. I'm way ahead of him. I can't wait for him. Besides that, I don't really believe in coulda, shoulda, woulda because I know there's a path. I know there's a path, and I see, the story about beautiful Mistress having this other person download into her and her remembering and then crossing the galaxy to find her love. And then I remember, Fairy Girl told me so long ago that I'm not meant to be with Michael this time. Well, that was the me before I healed. And speaking of that, I don't know if anybody noticed, but remember my banner picture on Facebook would have that little M6 from the freeways over in England. I don't think M6 is M6. I think M6 is really M4. And somehow, like, Heather and Eric, they're M1 and M2, but me and Michael are 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I have theories about that. I'm not even going to put them in this video. I'm going to talk about that another day because I don't know, maybe I'll get one more video in. Oh, because guess what? The tarot cards keep saying that somebody's going to come talk to me. My person's going to come talk to me. My person's thinking about messaging me, and I'm going to be really surprised when they do, which is funny because I'm expecting it. Somehow I'm going to be surprised yet expected at the same time. And then his sign keeps saying that, your person's going to connect or reach out to you. So I don't know if he's going to see this video and this is going to be me reaching out to him, or if he's going to reach out to me before this video gets released. Does he watch my videos? Is he spying on me like the tarot cards say? I don't know. But they always talk about a big move. I mean, the tarot cards really are validating all of this stuff too. What was I going to say about that? I forgot. Something significant. It talks about family. Keeps talking about me having a baby or something close to it. Not quite. But, maybe I will play stepmom. Which is also interesting because I remember I didn't want a dog. I didn't want a dog. I don't want a fucking dog because I don't want to take care of a fucking dog. And the minute I saw that fucking dog, I was instantly in love. Instantly in love. She became my baby. And I didn't never clean up her poop unless I took her on a walk. But she was my baby. They always make fun of me. So I can see that happening again too. Gosh, what was I going to say about that? I don't know. There was something about... Hang on, I'm going to put it on pause so I can remember it. Okay, I'll put my finger out. This is like my remembering finger. Hang on. Okay, I'll remember what I was going to say. So back in May, when I started to discover all this tarot stuff, I didn't realize that when they say, he's coming back for you, you're not going to believe it. I thought it meant like tomorrow. Well, they've been saying this for like months now. I'm beginning to understand that they have a different time frame than me. But I started to make plans to go back to Europe. And I don't know if it was, well, I guess it was in anticipation to kind of see him, sort of, but also just for me. It was like both. Like, if I see him, great, but if not, I'm still going to go. And so I put it like if the timing of the kids going back to school, which actually coincides with what I call Watermelon Day. And that's a whole long story that has to do with the e-board over at Elisa's house. See, it got the little tattoo, the watermelon yin yang. The seeds are the yin yang dots, which are also the dots on Michael's E. And the E is also for Eric. All this stuff. Anyway, that's August 17th. Which is the day that I first messaged Michael 11 years ago. And 11 is a twin number, right? 1 twin flame. So I went ahead and I made arrangements to go to Amsterdam again, because that's where my direct flight is from Houston to Amsterdam. And I have a couple nights booked at a new hostel. I love the hostels. I'm like if things don't work out with Michael, or even if they do, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm like, not, I absolutely am not going to jump in with being dependent on one man to jump in and being dependent on another man. Fuck that. Actually, the plan over here is to get this house rented out and split the profits from this. So I'll at least have like $1,000 a month to support myself, which I will be so rich. I've never had that kind of money before. I don't know if that's enough to take care of myself, but it will be enough temporarily for me to, float around hostels for a while. Remember I said in the last video or a couple videos that I'm about to be homeless? Remember I also said that I feel like I'm about to be beautiful mistress plopped into a different planet? That's what I meant. Can you imagine like how different everything's going to be? I mean, I don't even speak the language. I'm going to be in so out of my element. Anyway, so I booked some hostel dates, but I also booked my favorite hotel, the one that I kind of hoped to see him at a couple years ago where he turned me down and well, he claimed he had a cold or a fever or something. I'm not sure I believe him, but whatever, that's what he said. I think he was just avoiding me, and I know he had his reasons, and I get it. I'm not just a regular friend. I'm the twin, and I don't know what his reasons were, but according to the tarot, he's gonna let me know. But I don't know if you guys remember this, but I sure do. There was this girl, Bonita, that gave me a really hard time because I didn't know what to expect for that connection with him that never came to fruition. And I didn't even know if I'd see him or not, but I did have one expectation, and that was that he would not wait like 7 weeks to answer me back. And he took fucking forever. And I'll let him. I just, sucked it up. And when he waited till the last minute to still turn me down, that pissed me off, but whatever. And I still showed up with all the potentials. Like I brought like books and toys for his kids in case I went to his house and met him and his family. And I also brought like sexy romantic clothes in case he was on the outs with his family and he wanted to come stay with me at that hotel. So I wasn't sure. Anyway, I booked that same hotel. Maybe I'm getting a do-over. I don't know. We'll see. So I booked it already back in May, anticipating the potential of it, but I'm not stupid. So I paid a little bit more money to book with the refundable rates. Because if he's not willing to meet me, I'll cancel that and I'll just go to more hostels and make my money stretch. I'm fine either way. I will be disappointed, but I'm not dependent on him. I'm learned my lesson. So I think that's most of my story, at least today's. It really, I did almost go a whole hour. But there's more. There's more. So I don't know. I guess I'm going to leave with that. Pretty emotional stuff. I don't know how. I mean, I guess with Levy, it's just time, and we will be friends again. The guide said we'll be really, I don't know how good the friends will be, but hopefully, I mean, we'll find peace. If I'm going to go stay at his house sometimes, if that's going to be my American home base, then we'll work it out. I mean, we haven't been romantic in the longest time. I don't know. I mean, I can't even remember the last time. And the last few times that there was like a sexual connection, it was totally forced. So I do want us to find a way to be family. As I do care about him. And, we grew these kids together. And I do want him to be in my life. Just in some capacity. I don't want to be enemies with him. There's no need for that. I'm a rule breaker. I don't have to do things like everybody else does. We can be friends. So, there's that. And as for me and Michael, I don't know. He hasn't messaged me. This is all just like assumptions from downloads and old readings and just cuz. Who knows? But I haven't talked to him in almost a year. We'll see. Maybe I'll have more information for you next time. But, I know what I was going to say. That Bonita girl. Oh, yeah, that's what I was going with. She gave me a really hard time and told me I was, like, rude and a homewrecker. If he messages me back, I just can't wait to say, suck it, Bonita. Suck it. It will be so satisfying. So if you see me write a PS, suck it, Bonita, you'll know that Michael did message me. I'll leave it at that. All right, you guys. Those of you that stuck to the end, thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. And you know what? Give me a like if you watched this video. I want to see, I mean, just because I'm curious. If you got this far, like it. Then I'll know how many people actually did. I mean, I can look at my statistics, but to be honest, I don't really know how to read them all the way. All right, you guys. Thank you again. Stay tuned. Things might be starting to get really juicy. All right. Thanks again. Bye.